It's best if we just leave her like that for the time being, Mr. Savage. The television on and the patchouli tap just dripping. It's quite expensive. And make sure her soma tablets are within reach.
But she's taking 20 grams a day already.
That's right. That'll finish her off in a month or two. One day the respiratory centre will be paralysed. No more breathing.
Finished?
And a good thing, too. If we could rejuvenate, of course, it would be different, but we can't. Not her.
But aren't you shortening her life by giving her so much?
Look, soma may make you lose a few years in time, but think of the enormous, immeasurable durations it can give you out of time. Every soma holiday is a bit of what our ancestors used to call eternity.
All the same, I don't believe it's right.
Well, if you prefer to have her screaming mad all the time.
Sono lieto di poter rievocare in poche parole le esperienze delle prime trasmissioni radiotelegrafiche a grandi distanze da me felicemente eseguite attraverso l'Oceano Atlantico il 12 dicembre 1901.
Holy snapping bra straps.
It's a brave new world. I beg your pardon? Oh, brave new world that has such people in it.
Yes, I can assure you we hardly ever have any trouble with our workers. We always
Excuse me. I think I'm going to be sick.
Republic of Avalon Radio. It's 0 hours, Avalon Standard Time.
I'm Tara, and I'm in St. John's, and you're listening to... I'm Tara from St. John's, and you're listening to Republic... Wow, okay. Hi, I'm Tara Trainer, St. John's, and you're listening to... Republic... Okay, hi. Hi, I'm Tara Trainer, St. John's, and you're listening to Republic of Avalon's radio. Jeez, why can't I get that? All right. Hi, I'm Tara Trainer, St. John's, and you're listening to Republic... Oh! Okay. Hi, I'm Tara Trainer, St. John's, and you're listening to Republic of Avalon radio.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
The best radio in the whole wide world!
You're with the roar!
The world is changing up. It's rearranging up. It's nothing strange, nothing changed. It's the same. See the flame as it's burning and the one that's turning. All we need is Salama.
Yes, all we need is Salama. Salama, as in Salam alaikum, alaikum salam, which is Arabic for peace, in case you didn't know. And that was a song that I recorded with two friends of mine, Lekbir Khalali and Thierry Arthur. That was back in, oh my God, when did we do that? 2003 or something like that. Some way back to... Actually, might have even been before that. I'm not sure. Oh, what's that? Is that a tree growing up or something?
Piece of grass.
Really?
Mm-hmm. A big piece of grass.
I bet you a big old whopping piece of grass.
Looks like a full moon tonight.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Could be trouble.
Oh dear.
It's a beautiful night, folks.
It sure is.
This is absolute perfection. You could even sit out tonight.
You could.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that was me. Or let's be proper about this. That was Thierry, Lek, and myself. The song was called Salama. And it was nominated for an East Coast Music Award in the urban category. I forget what year. It must have been 2004, something like that. And I mean, how they get urban out of that is beyond me.
It's only because they didn't have a...
They don't have a reggae category. They don't have a rye category. They don't have a world category.
Well, they tried to have a world category.
They tried to have a world category last year, but don't get me going on that.
No.
There was no category. I put out my new record, just last year. And, of course, nowhere, anywhere is there any kind of a category for it. There's no reggae categories and no world categories. And, basically if you don't do one of the, traditional or blues or jazz or pop or something, then you're pretty much well out of luck.
Yeah.
You're hit out of luck with the S.
Yep. It's too bad.
It is too bad, but what the heck, who cares,
Yeah, exactly. That's so true.
I suppose it helps sales and all that stuff, but
Well,
what does it all mean, at the end of the day, as they say?
I find, honestly, it seems to me that there's two ways to make a lot of sales, and that number one is signing with a record company.
Yeah, which we don't really want to do.
That will get, they actually do quite a lot of, they put a lot of money into promotion. It's obvious.
Yeah, they buy you attention.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happens
Yeah.
by, getting the radio play and ads in the paper and all that stuff. And you have to do a lot of touring with them as well.
Yeah, well, exactly.
They own you, basically.
They own
Like,
you.
you're-
They give you an advance, a big advance,
Yeah.
and you think, you're the king of the world. You've got this big advance from a record company, however much it is, and but it's an advance. You basically have to go then and work that advance off.
Yeah, you have to. Basically, you're like an employee, I think.
Yeah, and as you're working it off, you're basically running up more debt with the record company. Anyway,
And I think too, like
that was
one other thing I just wanted to say.
all right.
Saying this as I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
It's like being an employee, and also I think when you are an employee, you know what that does to your creativity.
Well, it's like being a slave more than an employee.
Yeah. So I think that, some people can just take that, just like you have a job and you don't have to think about
Yeah,
it.
just go to work, get on stage, bang out your
Yeah.
tunes, and go home.
Yeah, and you get your paycheck and
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Then they
yeah.
cram you into a studio for, a month or 3. Want you to force out another record that was identical to the last one.
And they decide what you're going to do
Which songs
next.
you're allowed to put on it or not.
Yeah,
And then even they decide in a lot of cases, not every case, but in a lot of cases, they have a lot to do with deciding, who produces the record in a lot of cases, and what songs go on, what songs stay off, and how those songs are recorded, and all kinds of stuff. But we don't have to worry about any of that stuff, do we?
No, we don't.
That was method number 1. Smell the lovely lilacs.
And method number 2, I think, is just really getting out there and slogging it, which we know a few groups that do that.
Yeah, and you know what? There's no payback for that.
No, it's like
Slog. It costs so much money. The best thing about these days is that we have, the internets, and you can get your music up there, so it's available for people. But then, of course, the people have to know about it, so you got to work that whole thing. But you don't have to run around in a van with a bunch of people, that you might not necessarily want to be running around with after you get to know them a bit, and eating bad food and sleeping in bad places and things like that. I did that, and it's just the fun wears off of it pretty quickly. The adventure wanes pretty.
Yeah, living out of a suitcase, I'm sure, wears thin after a while.
It's no fun, Here I am, I'm home, I got my studio, I got, whenever I want to create something, whenever I have a song come into my head and I want to do something, well, everything's there. When I was on the road, your instruments, as they are, whatever they are, say, in my case, my drum kit, would be either in a van or in a venue. And no recording equipment, You know, you can't be lugging all that around with you when you're on tour. So I maybe would be lucky if I had, you know, like a mandolin and a few whistles in a bag or something, and I'd sit in the hotel room and play the whistle or mandolin or something like that. Mandolin's nice and small. Whistles, of course, you know, are just very, very small things. Put them in a backpack and away you go. It's a great thing about whistles. Tin whistles, as some people call them, or penny whistles or whatever. I just, you know, whistle. It's almost like another non-name, really. It's like the instrument doesn't have a name. I know it makes a kind of a whistly sound, but it's not like whistling. It's not like human whistling. Flutes make whistly sounds, I guess, and all that. But flute actually has a name. It's called the flute. Why can't we come up with a name for the whistle?
Let's do it now.
Yes.
What can we call it?
Well, actually, in French, it's properly called. It's called flute irlandaise.
Okay.
Flute irlandaise.
That makes sense.
Irish flute. That's
Anybody would know what that is.
Yeah, but of course now some of you out there may be aware that there's flute in Irish music, and you know, made of metal or wood, and so some may call certain Irish-made flutes Irish flute. But in French, the thing that we call the whistle is called the flute irlandaise, so the Irish flute. So anyway, that's that for that. Anyway, the song, yeah, Salama. I've been doing a massive recovery on a whole bunch of projects because I have a new piece of gear en route. It's the Tascam FW1884, which is going to replace what I've been using up until now, the Roland VS2480. And for all of you who don't have any clue about any of these things, it just sounds like letters and numbers. Basically, I'm getting a new sound desk, or a new mixing board, I suppose is a way of putting it, and in the studio. It's going to allow me to kind of fill in the final gap of inaccessibility, or lack of accessibility, so that I'll be able to do absolutely everything on my own. Right now I can do 99%. Well, this will kind of complete the whole thing. I dabbled into computer-based recording, which a lot of people are doing that now. You know, we went away from the open reel, you know, 2-inch tape or 1-inch tape or half-inch tape or whatever, and we went into digital recording, and a lot of that was dedicated hardware. So you would have the machine with all your knobs and sliders and stuff on it, and some kind of a hard drive inside of that. That's what the 2480 is. And then you have computer-based applications, digital audio workstations, computer-based, which do everything. Because I mean, basically, those dedicated hardware things are just computers in and of themselves, very, very extremely simple computers. So of course you can take that. You can have software that'll do all the stuff that the software in one of these dedicated things does, only on an actual, you know, computer, and then you can use bigger hard drives and configure and, you know, tweak things to your own liking and use an awful lot of plugins and things. Anyway, I'm probably talking out of the familiar zone for a lot of people, but it's pretty exciting stuff. And in the process, I've been having to go back and get these songs. They're in a special format, you know. Say with the 2480, it creates, you know, you have all your songs, you have all your individual tracks, but then there's a lot of other information too about each track and what effects you have and all that. So it saves them as, you know, VS2480 projects, and you can't just, you know, put that disc in a computer and just bring it up anywhere. So what I'm actually having to do is go back over all these projects that I've worked on over the years, since I've had the 1680 and the 2480, and recover. Just go back, take the backup discs, load them onto the 2480, and then export all the tracks out to the computer. And as I'm doing that, I'm, starting the projects in the software I'm using on the computer, giving the song a name and a tempo and importing all the tracks in. Suddenly I have this song in front of me that I haven't touched in God knows how long, for an album that I did 5 years ago or whatever. It's all right there in front of me, and it's all brand new again because none of the effects or none of the mix is there. It's just all the raw tracks. So as I'm recovering these songs, I'm starting from scratch and remixing them. And it's a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, some of the songs are really coming together because I can work on my own. I don't need Lillian to help me. And, as great as it was for her to be helping me in the past, I would what I would end up doing was kind of limited because I was taking up her time after her putting in a full day of work already. Couldn't expect her to put in another 8 hours in the studio. So I was just basically getting her to help me with the things I absolutely needed the most, which limited a lot of stuff I was doing. It certainly made me very efficient, and it was good exercise for the mind. But now I can just kick back on my own and experiment with the songs and try different effects, different plugins, and different compressions and things like that, different mixes.
That must be really nice.
And just get it the way I want it instead of some kind of reasonable facsimile. I can actually, it's very nice.
You could experiment.
Yeah, and the latest one that I've been tooling around with was that one there, Salama. That one. And as I said, that was nominated for an East Coast Music Award in the urban category. It's funny because, Lek grew up in a little village in Morocco. Thierry grew up on the island of St. Pierre. And I grew up, for a while in, Rabbit Town. Pretty much almost like a tenement yard, really. We lived in a little house on the corner of Hoyles Avenue and Newtown Road. I lived with my grandmother. She took in boarders to pay the bills. And right next to us was all the apartment buildings. I think again, I guess you'd say, tenements or whatever you want to call them. And then after that in Conception Bay. So, between the three of us, there wasn't really much urban, going on there. But, what the heck? I guess urban is a genre now, isn't it?
Urban is.
It's a genre. Urban. Music can be urban.
Sounds kind of industrial.
Well, I suppose if music can be country, I suppose it can be urban.
Sure.
But I don't get that country. Whatever that is all. You see, what is the culture in the... I mean, that's an interesting topic, maybe for another day or whatever. But, if you want to find culture, culture is a living thing, It's something that you have to go and find some people singing the songs they sing and doing what they do. While in the city, it seems to me that people from the country go to the city and they take their songs and stories with them.
Right.
So, what is urban culture? Is there such a thing, really? I don't know. Huh. I guess, if you talk to somebody who grew up in a big city, they would tell you.
You'd almost think it would be sort of like rap and that kind of thing, but that's a category unto itself, so that wouldn't make sense.
No, I don't know. I don't quite know what the urban thing is all about, to be quite honest with you. I have to fess up on that. But, like if you might consider, if you grew up in Philadelphia, you got your hoagies and stuff like that. Whatever. That's your Philly cheesesteak, something or other. That's part of your urban culture, I guess. I don't know. whatever. Halifax, Donairs are big in Halifax, but that's Greek culture. That's brought over from Greece. Probably a lot of rural people, maybe, I don't know, but it's not indigenous Halifax stuff. I'm not sure where the Philly cheesesteak or the hoagie or whatever came from, if those were like Polish people or German people or whatever, Italians or whatever, I don't know. But I suppose culture is just whatever you experience, It doesn't have to be old. It doesn't have to be, I guess there's old culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
I mean...
things that are passed on, I guess.
Well, like, let's take, I don't know, songs that I've written or whatever. Just, from the horse's mouth, here I am. I certainly know that, say, Downtown Girl or Rhythm of the Goat, for example, have been part of people's lives for a long time now, since... When did I put that record out? 14 years ago? Mm-hmm. Something like that?
Yeah.
So, 15 years ago. Yeah, it was 15 years ago. So, I mean, there's some people going around now that have heard that song that song has been in existence their whole lives. People that are 15 and under. And then even you consider 30-year-olds. Well, that song came out when they were 15. So from the time that they were a kid up until now, and they might be grown and have children and, professions and careers and all that stuff. It's been around. So, it's interesting because I've heard Gypsy, that record that song is on, I've heard people call that a traditional album. That's in a whole other kettle of fish, because it's far from traditional. There's nothing traditional on that record at all. Every note and every word I wrote myself.
I think that word gets a bad... It's not correctly used, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, the gulls.
The gulls, right.
The gulls. Oh, gully boy. We're inside. Yeah. We're inside the ting here now. Or we're just coming out.
There's some sort of wow.
Gull conference?
Yeah.
Yes. Indeed. What are they doing, I wonder? On a Friday night, a bunch of gulls. They'd probably end up in a bar. Gulls.
They probably have their own kind of watering hole over there somewhere.
I'd say they got their own culture.
For sure.
Whatever it is.
Gull culture.
Gulture, yeah. Yes, indeed. So, my, as you can all hear, my sniffles are abating, and the congestion is backing off as well, and I'm getting healthier and healthier as the moments pass, folks. It's just amazing. Still feel a little,
a lot better.
Yeah. Still feel a little kind of a weakness, a little nishness, as we'd say. That's an expression growing up that we used to use, if you're sensitive to cold or sensitive to catching cold or anything like that, we would say that you're nish. We'd say somebody was nish if they were, like that. Whatever. So there we have it. So I still feel a little tiny nishness. That's just going to take time, because the side effects of when you're coughing a lot and everything, that's a lot of PSI. Sneezing and coughing and stuff, that's a lot of pressure.
It's amazing that we even can survive all that.
And you kind of rip and tear a bit at all your cartilage around your ribs, and truth be known, you injure yourself. So your lung capacity goes down, and from all the coughing and extreme whatever, strained blood vessels in your brain, or God knows what. Whatever.
So be careful, folks, when you're coughing and sneezing.
Yes, be very careful with that coughing. Coughing is dangerous. So, Mr. Fiddler, would you say coughing is dangerous? All right. Coughing is dangerous. Yes, that's a little bit of Jose Jemmenez. For you who don't know, you might want to go do a search on Jose Jemmenez. He was a very, very funny sort of character, obviously of Latin distinction, Hispanic, and he's just a goofy kind of a comedian guy who, I don't know if all the time, but to my memory, he always had a straight man, like an announcer, interviewer type, asking him questions and so on. And that's something that I used to listen to when I was growing up. Jose Jemmenez.
Jose.
Along with lots of other things.
Other things?
Jose, can you see? And in the case of Feliciano, the answer would be no.
We haven't told the listeners about our garden.
We have not.
Let's do it now.
Okay, we have a garden.
We have a garden.
All right, what's the next topic?
We have to explain about our garden.
Okay, we don't just have a garden. We have a kind of an outdoor living room, really, in a sense. Outdoor living room / kitchen with our new barbecue, and you tell the folks about the sort of the foliage and the flora.
The flora and the fauna.
No, just the flora.
Well, we have this season growing this season.
Growing this season.
Our first season, really. For
First real serious growing
the
season.
only thing I've ever really grown before is flowers.
Yeah.
And so this year, anyway,
Yeah,
we
growing.
got some seedlings.
We have tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
And they're growing nicely.
Garlic.
We have our own garlic, yes.
Basil.
Basil.
Green onions.
Green onions, and they're very... I'd say it's probably not going to be too terribly long before we're going to be able to be using them.
I think so. Won't be very long.
Yeah.
Beets.
Beets.
Romaine lettuce.
Okay.
And one very interesting gem is
Tobacco.
the
What?
artichoke.
The artichoke. Lillian's going to get one artichoke heart out of it if it kills her. Yes.
And it's going to be delicious.
Uh-huh.
I love artichokes.
Okay. So you
But-
just get like one artichoke?
I don't know this. Well,
Okay.
you could eat the leaves apparently.
Okay. You can eat the leaves. I'll watch.
And as Jim was just saying, tobacco.
Tobacco. Yes,
which
we're
is
growing
very
some
interesting.
Virginian tobacco. So
Interesting experiment. We have a bona fide horticulturist helping
yeah,
us with
Ross
it.
Travers gave us a hand with it. Thanks, Ross, if you're listening.
Yes, he did the seeding, which the seeds are so small.
Mm-hmm.
You can just barely see them, and there are 1,000 seeds in this tiny little bag. And he has this instrument. It's called a seeder, and it kind of vibrates.
It's a strange name for something like that.
It vibrates. It's almost like a little half funnel kind of thing, and it vibrates, and it shoves out like one seed sort of or two at a time, and you got to kind of move it from row to row really quickly.
Okay.
And the seeds kind of jump out of this thing.
Cool.
Otherwise, you'd have to do it like by hand, and it would take you forever. You can imagine
Yeah.
like 1,000 seeds.
Yeah.
So anyway, he did that. It was fascinating. And,
So we don't have enough for full time anything, but it's going to be nice to have a little bit of enough for a little bit here and there. But it's going to be totally organic, no chemicals, no poisons, no preservatives, no nothing. It's just going to be the real deal. And I mean that's what they use, at ceremonial use of tobacco, native North American ceremonial use of tobacco. And Lillian is part Mi'kmaq and I'm part Cherokee, so I don't think it's any stranger for us to partake in the use of tobacco than it is for anybody saying that they're of Irish heritage partaking in a glass of Tullamore or someone of Scottish heritage having a dram of single malt Scotch, or somebody of German extract having a beer or something like that.
It's all organic, isn't it? Really?
Except, actually, it's interestingly enough, as controversial as this may seem, tobacco actually does have health properties. There are some things,
I'm surprised.
about tobacco that are actually beneficial to your health. I know it's been much maligned and completely, it's supposed to be just evil, and there's nothing good about it at all, period, and all that. But that is not the case.
No,
Has a
it's
lot of...
definitely got a bad rap. I guess it's, harmful are all the chemicals that put in it, obviously.
Well, why don't they tell them to take the chemicals out of it? I mean, if I had some water and had arsenic in it,
It's a no-brainer.
do you say that water's bad, or do you say that the arsenic's bad and don't put arsenic in the water, you know?
Exactly. Are you going to ban all water because there's...
They should just tell... But I think the reason, perhaps one of the reasons, is because these chemicals that they're adding in there, if they told them they couldn't do that, what about all the other companies that are putting all the other stuff that shouldn't be included in our food and things like that, all these preservatives and chemicals and poisons and things? I mean, quite frankly, you do not need any of those poisons in our food, anything we eat or drink, and even cleansers and things that you clean your tub and your sink, your toilet, and brush your teeth with and wash your hair with. There's no reason at all, period, for there being anything poisonous in those things. You should be able pretty much to have all your stuff under the kitchen sink, and you know, if a kid gets in under there and drinks a bit of it, you don't have a child mortality on your hands. You know, what did they drink? They drank some concentrated lemon juice, water, and you know, whatever else might be in it.
They should have really started out that way, and then everything would be just as natural as it can be.
Well, you know, some people think that's a fad, you know, organic and whatever, but it's nothing. It's not a fad at all. I mean, isn't it just supposed to be common sense that you don't ingest poison? And they say, you know, one particular product doesn't have enough poison in it to bother you. You know, in one, you know, that one thing that you eat, it's supposed to be such a small amount that it's not, you know, going to kill you. But if you consider, if everything you eat morning, noon, and night, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, has all these poisons in them, then I think that cannot be a good thing somehow.
No.
Call me crazy, but...
No, you're crazy.
Thank you. But I mean, the whole business about organic, I mean, up until just the last couple of generations, everything everybody ate was organic.
Yeah.
So organic isn't some kind of yuppie, hippie, fag sort of fashion, or...
Yeah, no, now it's almost like like you say, I don't know.
And by the way, I don't use the F word to denote any sort of sexual preference or anything. It's just that word, you know, when we were growing up, that word had nothing to do with anyone doing anything to anybody, or anyone's preference to do anything to anybody or have anything done to them by anybody else. You know, it was just, you know, it was a word that we used kind of like sissy or something like that, or whatever, you know, to denote somebody who maybe, like, for example, we would say if somebody was going to go somewhere or do something, and one of the people in the gang decided that they didn't feel like it, we're all out at the cabin on the weekend, and, hey, let's go for a swim, and everybody goes except for Timmy. Well, we might, Timmy might be 6'5" and hairy and masculine and everything, but what we would say is we all went on an adventure through down to the lake and had a grand old swim, but Timmy fagged out.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with anything. So
it's funny now how, like, growing something organically, organic vegetables are quite a bit more expensive than something
it's a racket. Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, they should just if we've got governments and food and drug administrations and things like that, they should be flat out just telling people, no, you will not for any reason put any poison in. And it's not just food and drink, it's hey Richard Mixer on the go. You too. Hey. What was I saying? What was I saying? The organic thing?
Oh.
There shouldn't be any poison in anything if we got these, people that are supposed to be watching out for us. If you believe that the Food and Drug Administration and such organizations and governments, and if they really do represent us and care for us and things like that, you would think they would not allow any of these things. If they're going to have laws and things like that, bans and whatever.
Well, then there wouldn't be that big.
Well, no, everything would be organic.
Because now it's like the richer people or the people with more
That's
money get
right.
to eat better.
That's right.
Well,
no, nobody should be poisoned, period.
No,
Rich or poor,
Yeah.
I remember what I was going to say now. It's not just the food and drink. It's not just the soda pop or the milk or the water or the beef or the whatever the heck it is. Several have bitten the dust. That's fascinating. Yeah, it's not just that, it's other things too. It paints, it's, like I said, cleaning liquids and shampoos, toothpastes. And, like if you go out and buy a sofa, you want to take that sofa, just go to any sort of go to any furniture store and go and look at a chair or a sofa or something. And let's just break it down into its elements. Let's tear the material off and let's test that and see what's in that.
Polyurethanes.
The colors, the dyes, all that stuff. What material is it made out of? How much of it is made out of, petrochemical, plasticky stuff, not natural, not clean, not biodegradable, not anything. The foam, the cushioning, what the heck is that stuff? And on and on. The legs, the bit of wood along the sides, You get the sofa, it's got some wood there.
The glues and everything.
The glues, what's in the glues, what's in the finishes, what's in all that stuff. And there's no need of it. And it shouldn't be a fashion, it shouldn't be something that you got to go out of your way to pay more for. It should just be the way it is,
It's all it seems that it's all in the name of quantity and speed. How fast and how much you can make.
But,
So to make more profit, to make it cheaper, but really, I don't know.
When you look at the whole global warming and all that, and we're all destroying the earth, the guys on the smokestacks are telling us down here on the ground trying to start a fire by rubbing two sticks together to keep our hands warm, that we're destroying the earth. While, British Petroleum is doing what it's doing. And it shouldn't have even been there in the first place. Apparently there's a huge methane gas deposit there. And that could go sky high. And if that goes sky high, you could see a tsunami that just completely wipes out Florida and does an awful lot of damage to neighboring states. And of course everyone will jump on the bandwagon and then say, see, carbon is bad, we need a carbon tax and everybody should stop burning oil for that reason. But it's not that. In fact, methane is worse for the greenhouse effect than carbon is. They pick carbon for a reason. And you can investigate that yourself. I don't have to tell you, dear listener. We have our listeners are very, very intelligent people from everything we can gather, and I think you have access to libraries and internets and all these things, so you can check that out for yourself. I'm not going to go into all that stuff. Some people think everything's a conspiracy theory too, which is interesting. You tell people. I've told people about things before they happen, not because I have a crystal ball, but because if you look beyond the 6 o'clock news, you can become aware. For example, when, let's say, a group of very rich, powerful people get together and have a meeting, and in that meeting they discuss whatever their agenda is, and if you go and read that agenda, they tell you very clearly what their plans are for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So then you come out and you're, standing outside a pub having a chat with somebody, and hey, and they tell you, what's going on? What's going on?
We're just in watching the session there earlier on, and now we have Caleb Mahoney and Andrew playing their tunes.
Uh-huh. Who was at the session? Who was playing in the session?
Who was playing in the session?
Did you know any of the musicians playing?
Well, Billy was playing, and
Billy Sutton?
Billy Sutton,
Wells,
Graham
yeah.
Wells, and young Collis, Aaron Collis was playing.
Yep.
So
he was on the show before too. A couple of years ago, we went out to Terra Nova. I like to almost, tongue in cheek, say that I discovered him actually.
Well, I like what I really like about Andrew coming into the local music scene here is how the veteran musicians all accepted him.
Yeah.
And how fast he has learned.
Well, he's a true talent.
He is. He's brilliant.
He's not a wannabe or a poser or a wanker, as they say.
Well, I think that they even called him the young Graham Wells or something. So he must be fairly good.
Very nice. He is, and also his friend Neil.
Yes. Neil Olfert.
Neil Olfert. He didn't make it out this way. We were hoping that he was going to get out here as well. But he has a very, very talented friend, and the two of them, as kids, I don't know how young, but pretty young and right through their teens, played together.
Is that right?
So he's out here on his own now, really for the first time in his life. Yeah.
I heard Andrew, or not Aaron, I should say, playing there a couple of weeks ago up at the ship.
Uh-huh.
And it was the first time there was a compilation of some of the tunes that I believe it was his uncle did out around Appleton or down on the shore down there.
Okay.
And it was the first time that they actually did them publicly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. He's a really good young player, I must say.
Yep. Definitely.
Of all of the local musicians coming along, he's the one that kind of stands out right at the moment.
Well, no matter where you go, there's good people and there's bad people, and no matter where you go, including here, the really good musicians are in the minority. There's an awful lot of people here that can, that have a party piece. They can play a few chords on a guitar, they can sing a few songs. There's, I'd say per capita, well above average around here, people with some musical ability. But again, the really, really good ones are the few, and he's definitely one of them for sure.
And then there's some guys that are really, really good musicians, and I don't hear them down here playing in the sessions themselves.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I'm not a session player. See? Yeah. I'm not a session player. That's funny because I don't play the fiddle. I don't really play the accordion. I play the accordion a bit. Just like if I want some accordion on a song.
Yeah.
A few little notes and chords here and there and stuff. I play accordion more like the way, I guess, the way accordion is just played as a standard kind of accompanying melodic instrument or whatever. I don't play jigs and reels and things like that.
Yeah.
Whistles, I play whistles. Like, I'd say whistles are way up there for me. But again, I play slow airs and I play tunes and things, but I don't play, Toss the Feathers and Farewell to Aaron. And
well, it was really nice actually the other day as we were going over fly fishing, my daughter and I there the other night. We were going over fly
catch any
fishing.
flies?
We didn't. We did get a couple of fish, and she brought over a young fellow from Nova Scotia who was just learning Newfoundland fishing here, and I was showing him a couple of spots. But on the way over, she popped in your Leslie Street CD. She said, "You got to listen to this." And so when we were going over to the pond, we were listening to that lovely gift you gave me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, since I gave you that, it's actually done. I'll have to give you the finished version.
Yeah,
it's
I look
actually
forward to
finished. That was pretty close. That was getting close, but it's actually done now. So, yeah.
Yeah. So when do you get off work?
Right now. We're going to say so long to the folks, and we were just talking about the whole business about all this foolishness about all the poisons and everything that they put in our food, and they put in even in tobacco, for example. I mean, just the common sense thing. Like if you had some water with arsenic in it, would you ban water, or would you tell people to stop putting arsenic in it? And if you look at all the chemicals and everything that goes into tobacco, how we got onto that was because we're growing some tobacco right now. And so we were just sort of talking about that whole business about stop putting, if these Food and Drug Administrations and government people and all that really cared about us, then why not just pass some, they seem to like to pass laws and stop people from doing things, so why not pass some laws to stop people putting poison in our milk and in our water and in our juice and in our soda and in our beef and in our chicken, and why not? What do you think? reasonable enough?
Reasonable enough.
Yeah. Because it shouldn't be organic. You know, like I remember coming down to the pub one night, and Trevor was working here at the time. It was a Sunday evening, and I brought him down a plate. Used to bring him down a plate of supper, kind of thing. So I brought him down a plate of supper, and I was telling him that the potatoes were organic, and what a difference! I mean, if you take, apparently, monkeys, if you put, just naturally organically grown bananas, and then the farmed bananas with the pesticides, the monkeys absolutely, not even 60%, 100% of the time, won't go near the bananas that have been sprayed and stuff. They'll go for the natural ones every time. Right? Oh yeah. So this whole thing about organic, yeah. So I was telling Trevor, I was saying, and the potatoes are really delicious. I said they're organic, and a fella 2 or 3 stools down from me says, "Meh, organic." You know, like it's some like it's some kind of hippie fad.
Yeah.
But only up until a couple of generations ago, everything that everybody ate was organic.
Yeah.
It's not a hippie fad.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't have to go far and wide to find clean food, and we shouldn't have to pay extra for it, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like an affliction, though, in terms of bringing down things to the Erin's pub, because I did that earlier on tonight.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we were doing our soccer pool after the group. We had to get into the now the final 16, so a single knockout from here.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a bit of a scoff on the going, so I put on a big crowd of mussels.
Uh-huh.
But I had leftovers, so I figured I might as well bring them down to Erin's pub. So that was the first thing that we all did, was have a
Nice.
feed of mussels now.
Nice.
It's a nice way to mix things with
Oh, yes.
music and food is not a bad thing.
Mussels, I'm a big, I love pickled mussels. You ever had pickled mussels?
I haven't.
Wow. Very,
My
very
mom's
nice.
got some
Yeah.
for you, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, she told me that she ordered them.
Oh.
It's a case of.
Do we have any? Do we have even one bottle at the house now?
No.
Okay. Well, next
They'll
time
be
we have
in
some,
some-
we'll bring them down, let you try them. All right. Well, this has been Toby McDonald. He was on episode I don't know what, way back when we had him on just after. That's the name of the episode, Fields of Gold. Yep. He coached the Olympic gold medal winning, Canadian gold medal winning curling team, Olympic team, and so we had him in just after that. And sort of, you can go back and listen to it. And in the meantime, we will catch you guys all around the bend.
Sayonara.
Arrivederci.
A Root Cellar production.